The Pairs Diamond League. Now, I told you yesterday in the preview that I thought it was going to be a little overlooked when talking about the sprints and jumps and hurdles, specifically because there were so many amazing performances on the distance side, whether it was the men's 800, the women's steeplechase, the men's 5,000. Like, there was a lot of amazing races across the board. But in these sprints and hurdles, these athletes showed up and showed out. Women's 400, Paulino versus Naser. These two women have been going back and forth, showing up head to head all throughout this year. And this is, let's be fair though. Paulino has only lost to Naser on one occasion over, I think, their entire career, which was, of course, at the Kingston Grand Slam track meet in earlier this year. But here in Paris, Paulino, 48.81 seconds, just ahead of Naser's 48.85 seconds. And in this race, Paulino was behind Naser the entire way. Naser got out like a shot, similar to how she's done in previous races, whether it's going back to 2019 at the Doha World Championships, whether it was at the Kingston Grand Slam track meet, or even earlier this year where we saw in, I think, Miami is where Paulino actually ran her down in the 400. But Paulino is able to maintain her composure, just maintain that form and dig deep down that final home straight to be able to claim the win every single time. 48.81 seconds for Paulino is actually the sixth time that she's ever broken the 49-second barrier. And I'm going to bring up I pulled some stats here, but of course, all time, you have Marita Koch, who's actually broken the barrier on 15 different occasions. Then behind her, Paulino now has done it on 6 different occasions. She's actually equaled with Jarmila Kratochvilova, also back in the 80s, who's done it 6 times as well. So the consistency for Paulino is really getting up there when talking about the sub 49-second barrier. And she's been very vocal about wanting to run 47 seconds, to want to break that 48-second barrier. And I think this is just another stepping stone towards that. Huge shout outs to Paulino for what she's able to do, but that can't take away from Sawa'i Naser as well. 48.85 seconds for Naser. That's the third time that she's run sub 49 this year. That's the second fastest time of the year for her, right? She's run 48.67 seconds. And this is also the 5th time that she's broken the 49-second barrier. She actually is tied with Olga Brezgina, who also did it all the way back in the 80s and I think the 90s, or I think she only did it in the 80s. She's done it 5 times, but then you also now have Sawa'i Naser, who's done it 5 times in her career as well. So what I'm looking at when talking about the sub 49-second barrier, led by these two women, Marlita Paulino and Sawa'i Naser, is they are completely breaking barriers and pushing the event to a level of consistency that we have not seen, not even since, I want to say the 80s, sure, but just that, all these women together. Yes, in the 80s, you had Marita Koch, you had Jarmila Kratochvilova, and you had Olga Brezgina. But Kratochvilova was a little bit earlier than Marita Koch. Well, they were the same time period. Let me not say that. Olga Brezgina was kind of the second half of the 1980s. So there wasn't this massive overlap. Right now, we are seeing Marlita Paulino, Sawa'i Naser, Sydney McLaughlin-Vroni, Nikisha Price, Natalia Bukovetska, previously Natalia Kazmarek, right? All these women who are breaking the 49-second barrier. And I'm just doing this off the top of my head, so I'm missing a few women, but it is just getting so dominantly consistent across the board. Man, Paulino, Naser, I love the consistency that's showing, that they're really showing up here. So shout out to them. But behind them, we also saw some great depth. Martina Wheel from Chile breaks the national record, breaks the 50-second barrier for the first time in her career, 49.83 seconds. That improves on her previous best of 50.39 seconds, which she's run this year. Shout out to Martina Wheel and what she's able to do for Chile here. This was a massive, massive performance. Puts her potentially into the conversation to, hopefully improve, maybe get down to those 49 mid, 49 low. Something really special could come at the World Championships later on this year. Behind her, Lena Irby Jackson. I'd spoken about what she did at the Racers Grand Prix not too long ago, and previewing this race today, I said that she does have a lot of momentum. Well, she showed up. 49.87 seconds for Lena Irby Jackson. That is the second fastest time of her entire career. The second time that she's broken the 50-second barrier. Only behind her personal best of 49.80 seconds, set all the way back in 2018 when she won the NCAA championships representing the University of Georgia. Clearly, Lena Irby Jackson is on a mission to not only make the team once again for the United States, but to potentially challenge for a spot in the final. And then who knows, after that, anything can happen. So shout out to Lena Irby-Jackson here. Amber Anning, 5th place in her first sub 50 for the year, 49.96. Isabella Whitaker, she's been on a roll. You know, this is kind of, I don't even want to say a step back. I mean, the fact that she's in the mix here, 50.18, she is really, really showing up. So shout out to Isabella Whitaker as well as Lika Klaver getting under the 51-second barrier, season's best 50.26. So really strong performances. Paulino, Naser, whew. We gonna probably see more of this as the year progresses, but shout out to both of them. Let's move over though. We got to talk about the women's 100-meter hurdles. I mean, if you're talking about a competitive race, now we know that this event is always super competitive, but it just seems like the ante is increasing every single time. Every single time these women line up. Grace Stark, 12.21 seconds, backing up the win that she got at the Stockholm Diamond League and the win that she got at the Chinese Diamond League early in the year, but 12.21 seconds for a personal best in the hurdles. Improves on her previous best of 12.31 seconds, which she set last year, and that moves her to equal number 5 all time in the 100-meter hurdles for the women. She is equal now with Jordana Donkova from the 1980s, who had the world record prior to Kenny Harrison, breaking it in 2016. So you're now looking at the top women all time in the 100-meter hurdles. You now have Tobi Amusan, you have Masai Russell, you have Tia Jones, Kenny Harrison, and then now Grace Stark would be equal with Jordana Donkova. Apologize for the pronunciation, of course, but that is massive for Grace Stark. Again, 12.21 seconds. But Tobi Amusan was right behind, literally right on her heels. 12.24 seconds for Tobi Amusan in the 100-meter hurdles. That is her second fastest time of her entire career, only behind her world record of 12.12 seconds, of course, set all the way back in 2022. What this proves to me about Tobi Amusan is that she is rounding into form perfectly in 2025, and clearly her move down to Jamaica, now training with Glenn Mills, that is working. That is really working out for her. No transition period, you know, well, I don't know. You could say a transition period if you want, but like it just seems to be clicking for her. Excited to see how Tobi does progress going into the World Championships. We're not done though. Akira Nugent, 12.30 seconds. We've seen her tearing it up, you know, throughout the 2025 season. Now she sets a season's best, 12.30. I think this is her 5th fastest time, or equal 4th fastest time of her entire career. Last year, she was dominating, running, 12.2s very consistently. So she is very much rounding into form perfectly for Jamaican Trials, which is coming up just next weekend. That's going to be really, really exciting to see how she does there. Behind her, Kenny Harrison. Shout out to Kenny Harrison with her 12.48. Like, finishing 4th place running 12.4 should not be understated. This is an amazing performance. Then you have Nadine Visser, 12.5. Devin Charlton, season's best of 12.5 and is in 6th place. Grace Stark is very, very consistent right now, but it's really hard to say like, oh, Grace Stark is a favorite, because then Tobi Amusan is right on her heels. Akira Nugent has been doing amazing throughout this year. Even someone like Masai Russell, the Olympic champion, she had been doing amazing, has the world lead and the number 2 performance all time. Tia Jones had been winning Grand Slam track in the hurdles at Kingston, and she's of course run 12.19. So it's just so hard to really conceptualize how competitive this women's 100-meter hurdles is, but anyone could win on any day. So this was huge. This was huge. Shout out to Grace Stark, really coming into her own. Let's move over though. Men's 400-meter hurdles. This kicked off the track events for the day, but this was Rai Benjamin and Amdurabam Samba. And I think Samba was the story, but huge shout outs to Rai Benjamin. 46.93 seconds. That's the 13th time that he's broken the 47-second barrier. So just another notch on his belt. He, of course, has already run 46.5 seconds this year at the Stockholm Diamond League. So he has the world lead and all that. He's a reigning Olympic champion. Rai Benjamin had a very great European tour. Really, really excited for what he'll do at the World Champs. But I'm going to come back to him for a second. Amdurabam Samba. I'm probably not even pronouncing his name correctly, but shout out to you, Samba. 47.09 seconds. That is the fastest time that Samba has run since 2018, when he ran his still standing personal best of 46.98 seconds. If y'all remember back in 2018, and I've spoken about this a couple times in various different videos, Samba kind of set off the wave of sub 40-second performances that we see right now. 46.98 seconds at the Paris Diamond League back in 2018. That actually was the second time that any athlete had broken 47 seconds, only after Kevin Young had done it with his world record of 46.78 all the way back in 1992. After that, he dominated 2018, went undefeated. I think he had beaten Karsten Warholm that season like 6 consecutive times, and Karsten Warholm was a world champion at that point. But once that happened, we started to see more progression. You saw Rai Benjamin, he ran 47.02 that year. I think that was actually right before Samba. But then 2019, Rai Benjamin and Karsten Warholm break the 47-second barrier, and after that, the rest is history. Samba just has dealt with injuries. He got a hamstring injury in 2019. He had a back injury in 2019 as well, and he got a bronze medal at the World Champs that year, but the injuries just kept setting him back. So to now see him finally get back to this type of performance, second fastest time all time, really pushed Rai Benjamin to the line here on the cusp of that 47-second barrier once again. Samba is going to be a force. Do not sleep on him and his capabilities of getting back into that, big three, which would then be a big four, with Alison Dos Santos. So who knows? Who knows? Amazing performance. But I want to get back to Rai Benjamin very quickly. This is actually the 12th time, not 13th, but 12th time that he's broken the 47-second barrier. And that's just one behind Karsten Warholm, who's done it 13 times in his career. So both of them, of course, are really pushing the bounds of the event. Alison Dos Santos, he hasn't done it as many times, but he is obviously in that mix as well. So huge shout outs to Rai Benjamin, and he's looking really good right now. He's looking really, really good. Coming off Oslo, second place in the 300 hurdles, Stockholm, the win in the 4 hurdles, and then now another win in the 4 hurdles and another sub 47-second performance. Amazing performance. And shout out to Trevor Bassett and Lima coming up with 48 low performances. Trevor with that season's best, proving once again why he's probably the most consistent 400-meter hurdler in the United States behind Rai Benjamin. So let's move over to the men's 110-meter hurdles. This was another really close race and some different storylines that came out of here, but heats into the finals, Trey Cunningham got the win here in 13 seconds flat. That is the 3rd time in his career that he's actually run 13 seconds flat on the nose. 3 times in his career, right? Earlier this year, he did it at the Miami Grand Slam track meet. He is itching for that sub 13 second mark, right? That 12-second mark. Trey Cunningham, it's going to come for him. But like I said in the preview, the consistency is there. He's been having an excellent 2025 season, and he wants to make the team to the World Championships once again this year. So this is just another stepping stone towards that. I'm really liking how Trey Cunningham is competing. Right behind him, though, we also saw Dylan Beard, 13.02 seconds for a personal best in the 110-meter hurdles. This actually came off running a personal best of 13.08 seconds in the rounds here in Paris. So he has been getting very, very good, very consistent. He's been on the circuit, running around Europe a lot as well, getting a lot more experience. So Dylan Beard, I mean, you have to put him in the conversation to potentially make the USA team. I mean, it's super competitive. Like Grant Holloway, he has a wild card. We'll talk about him in a second. But after that, I mean, Trey Cunningham, Cordell Tinch, and then, pick who you want. So we'll see. But shout out to Dylan Beard. Jason Joseph, 3rd place, 13.07, personal best, national record for Switzerland. That improves on his personal best of 13.09, which he ran earlier this year. And then he ran 13.08 in the heats here in Paris, and then now 13.07. Huge shout outs to him. Moritake from Japan, 13.08. Again, I'm watching Moritake. I'm really kind of excited about what his potential is. 13.08, not too far off his personal best of 13.04. He is in great form. He's in great form. Look out for him. Finally, Grant Holloway. Grant Holloway ran 13.11 seconds here. In the heats, he ran 13.16 seconds. Yes, you may look at it like, oh, he finished down in 5th place. Nah, I actually look at this really, really good. This is his first race over the past couple months, right? Since about April, where he's getting back onto the track, took some time away to, rest and recover and all that. I think this is an excellent race for Grant Holloway. Let's not get jaded by the fact that, Grant has run 12 seconds a whole bunch of times. 13.1 is still very, very fast. So for him to open back up with 13.1, knowing he has the wild card to the World Championships, he doesn't have to worry about USAs in terms of peaking or anything like that. His goal is September. Now he's going to make some progress. I mean, by the end of this season, Grant Holloway is going to be running 12 seconds, guaranteed. And in my opinion, he's still the favorite for the gold medal at the World Championships. It's just a matter of how the rest of the field does play out. So shout out to Grant Holloway for really, getting back on the track and showing up here. But exciting 110-meter hurdles. But let's finish off with the women's 200, where decent race, nothing too crazy, which is what I kind of said prior to the actual, in the preview. But Anavia Battle, another Diamond League win, 22.27 seconds ahead of Amy Hunt, 22.4, Mackenzie Long, 22.4, and Deja Stevens, Brittany Brown, Dinasha Smith. I was a little disappointed, I guess, in Dina. Wish that she was, a little bit better, but who knows, right? Dina has some time to progress before the actual World Championships. But Anavia Battle, another win on the Diamond League here. And this 22.27 is the fourth fastest time of her career. We know that she's run 21.95 all the way back in 2021. So she looks like she's, progressively getting closer and closer to that mark. The big thing that I take away from this for Anavia Battle is the consistency that she is building up here. She's undefeated in the Diamond League. She's getting these big wins, and she's just building that confidence as we get closer to the USA Championships in just over a month's time at this point. Time is one thing, right? You can say on the surface 22.27 is not extremely fast. It's not sub 22, and we've seen other women run sub 22 seconds. But again, when you have that consistency, when you're getting these big wins against some notable competition, especially notable American women as well, those who you're going to have to beat at the USA Championships, that is going to be a big boost as you do progress towards there, right? And just like everyone else, she's peaking for trials. So this is not like, oh, this is her best time ever and she's gonna, just go downhill from here. No, she knows when trials is, and she knows what she has to do to be able to get on the team. Let's not forget, Anavia Battle made it onto the Olympic team in 2021 when she was still in college in Ohio State. So it's not like making a team is foreign to her in the 200. And she beat out some relatively strong names, Tamara Clark, Allison Felix, she beat out some names. So she's not to be forgotten about here. And even when we look at the landscape very quickly about the women's 200, think of the names of women that are in the mix. You have Gabby Thomas, of course. You have Melissa Jefferson Wooden now, someone like Tamari Davis. But then after that, it starts to get a little tricky based on what we've seen this year. Anavia Battle, of course, undefeated in the Diamond League. Mackenzie Long, she has not been able to beat Anavia Battle in these Diamond League races. You also have Brittany Brown, bronze medalist from the Olympics last year, but she has been injured, right? She hasn't been able to run to the best of her ability, and she was in this race, finished behind Anavia Battle. Deja Stevens, she's run 22.1, getting back into the fold. Previous 2016 Olympic qualifier and 2017 World Championship qualifier, but she has to get back into the mix. So the point is, Anavia Battle is able to beat out many of these women, and then the other women are Gabby Thomas, Tamari Davis, Melissa Jefferson, and I would say she's right in the mix there. So don't count her out from potentially making that team in the 200 just because of the times that she's been running. We'll see how things actually do progress. But let's finish off with the men's triple jump. This will be the last one I do want to take a look at, as I thought this was a very high quality competition overall, but I want to speak about Jordan Scott. Jordan Scott has been showing up and showing out here all throughout the year. 17.27 meters to be able to win the competition actually on his final jump, beating out Hughes Fabrizio by literally just 6 centimeters. Massive performance for Jordan Scott. Now, this isn't a season's best. He's already jumped 17.34 meters at the Oslo Diamond League, but his personal best entering this year was 17.08 meters from all the way back in 2019. At this point, he has already improved on that mark on 6 different occasions throughout 2025. He's won 3 Diamond League competitions, the Xiamen Diamond League, the Oslo Diamond League, and now the Paris Diamond League. He finished second place at the Shanghai Diamond League. So what I'm saying here is that Jordan Scott is building up a 2025 season that is, one for the books when it comes to his career. We're not seeing 17.5, 17.7, 18 meters, right? We're not seeing that right now. But for someone who's, been relatively overlooked when talking about the triple jump, this is a great season for him. And that consistency might propel him to something very nice, of course, when we get to Jamaican Trials next weekend, but then also when we get to the World Championships later on in the year. So shout out to Jordan Scott and what he's been able to do. So overall, those were the performances from the Paris Diamond League. Again, I was pleasantly surprised across the board, especially that women's 400. So deep. Love seeing these women go back and forth. Paulino and Naser. Again, not necessarily back and forth, but just going head to head in those races, pushing each other to some extremely competitive times. And the women's 100 hurdles, let me know if you have a favorite in that women's 100 meter hurdles. If you can pick someone who is the favorite in that event, let me know, because I'm gonna tell you right now, I can't. But let me know what you thought of the Paris Diamond League. Be sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel. Always truly appreciate y'all. Thanks for watching.